Hey YouTube, today I want to talk to you about why Trump as president is good for us. I personally voted for Hillary Clinton, and I did so happily. She wasn't the better of two evils to me. I saw her as a great choice. So when I talk to you about this, I'm not coming from the perspective of being a Trump supporter, and I'm not coming to you as someone who is happy he got elected. I actually am coming to you as someone who is against almost everything he stands for. But what some of you know, and many don't, is we live in multiple dimensions. I'm not happy that Trump is our president. I don't think he's the right choice. That's my three-dimensional perspective, the perspective that is based on the physical reality around us. But there is a fifth-dimensional perspective as well, as some like to call it, which is that energy reality. This higher dimensional perspective is what allows us to know what is best in the long run, even if it doesn't make sense in the short run, and it's based on that vibrational reality around us. And despite my 3D biases, I can tap into the energetic truth and reality. And in that pure truth, Trump got elected because we wanted something better, and he was the best choice for us. That's not to say that Hillary wouldn't have made a great president. She would have. But she isn't right for our next step in humanity's evolution, and Trump is. This isn't going to be a video where I talk about how great he is. I'm not saying he's the best option for us because he's this great person. But I do want to talk about where he's coming from, how what he is doing is not a good thing in itself, but rather a good thing for us, and that what we need to do to transition to that next higher level of society. And I think you'll actually like what I have to say, particularly if you're not a Trump fan. So first I want to talk about Trump himself, and then I'll get into more detail on why he is president and what that means for us. So there's a saying, I believe by Robert Hanlon, that says, "Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity." And in many cases, this certainly applies to Trump. Trump isn't a good person, but that doesn't mean he doesn't want to be and hasn't wanted to be, or that he realizes the kind of person he is right now. Over time, he will become more tame and docile and will have to listen to the people. He will have to listen when we come into our power. The people are incredibly powerful, and we've forgotten that. We determine what the president does, not the other way around. We elected him, and so he must answer to us. Now, Trump is president for about 4 main reasons. The first is, as I mentioned before, because the world voted for change. You may say, well, I didn't vote for him. But if you said that, you're only talking about the physical vote you made in 3D. What about your energetic vote in 5D, your true vote? What was your deepest desire? And it wasn't just you or the US citizens that went to the polling booth that voted. The citizens who didn't show up voted too, as did the non-citizens, and as did much of the world population. This presidency affects more than just the US. Those around the world that have been affected by us get a vote too. This isn't to say that you voted for another candidate on your ballot, but inside you secretly wanted Trump, or you secretly wanted him and didn't know it. What you wanted, what society or mass consciousness wanted, is change, and for something better. The second reason is to show us how our system is broken. Someone like Trump should not have gotten elected, yet he did. We wanted change, so let's break it some more so we can build something new and better. The third reason is to show us the value of our system. We have lost appreciation for it, and there are many, many good things. Our system is built on having a kind, balanced, and noble president. And the fourth and most important reason is what Trump represents. He's really just a symbol. He seems like the decision maker, but it's the people around him who are, and I don't just mean his cabinet. Everywhere people are circling around him. His cabinet is circling around him, and so are the protesters around their causes. It's the protesters who are the most important part of the story. So let's talk about them next. The heroes of our story, the protesters. So look at the protesters in our country. The Women's March on Inauguration Day is said to be the largest in all of U.S. history, with over 4.6 million people participating in over 600 cities across the U.S. Now, you could say our population size is much larger now than it may have been in the past, and technology makes it easier to organize these things, but Occupy Wall Street, which protested on behalf of 99% of the U.S. population, didn't get those kinds of numbers. And that was a protest for 99% of us. Trump is the person we point to who is making us protest for change, but he's not doing any of this. He's just a symbol. He's just a placeholder. We are doing this. We are asking for situations that will cause us to push for change. We have been pushing for change for a long time now, and Trump is giving us a reason to push our hardest. And push we will until the barriers are broken and the good we all desire floods into our lives. So to recap, Trump isn't a great person, but he wants to do better. We voted for him with our energetic vote. He listened to us when we come into our power. We've had the largest protest in history. They're our heroes. So what are the implications of all this? What does it mean? People are coming together not only in strength in numbers, but also in energetic strength. When so many people gather together in one area around a common desire, that energy is strong. And that energy that they're coming with right now is for things to change. When it comes to energy, usually positive energy is best. It's the strongest and what will yield the fastest results in the most optimal ways. But there are times when our desires are so much stronger than the negative energy they're encased in that what we desire can come out of focusing on what we do not desire. So the best way for us to move forward would be for us to focus on what we do want and protest with that energy. So it's not really protesting against something, but rather asking or demanding something. That doesn't have to be done in protest with signs and people congregating. It can happen individually in our hearts. And there are many people who are doing this now, and it's wonderful. It's change embedded in love. But the protests we see are also effective. They're transmuting energy in a different way, but they're transmuting it for the better. And if that is where you feel called, then go out and protest. These are difficult times, but will all lead to wonderful things in the end. We've already shifted so much energetically as a country. They used to say, and I'm sure they still say, that when the Indigos arrived, the Indigo children, that they were here to break down the old system to let in the new. That's what's happening right now. The protesters are breaking down the old system to allow in the new. But this is also a time for immense healing. When the majority fights for the minority the way we have been, when they stand up for what is right from that place of compassion, it heals us. Those minorities who don't have as big a voice bond to you and you to them. This is bringing us together in a way we haven't had before. So, on this Valentine's Day, love your partner, your family, and friends. And love who you are becoming, who we are becoming as a compassionate society. Because everything we have struggled through all these years, civil rights for other races, for women, for LGBTQ, has all been about taking us to that next level of humanity. Our future is in good hands because of people like you. Keep doing what you're doing. Much love.